Tired of mindless workouts? Today, let's ditch the reps and sets and learn to flow. We're going to learn a natural pattern called the QDR, which is a great way to strengthen and mobilize both the upper body and core. And it's just a really fun movement to practice. We'll also be breaking this down into 3 different levels so that you can get a perfect challenge no matter what your starting point. Ready to grow? Let's do it. QDR is actually an acronym that stands for Queda De Rins. I hope I'm pronouncing that reasonably well because it is a Portuguese name. And the movement itself comes traditionally from Capoeira. It's used as an escape from a kick or as a transition between different movements. And today we're going to learn how to incorporate it into our primal flow practice and transition between positions like bear, crab, and bridge. You're not going to need much. I would recommend a yoga mat or a soft flooring. Let's get started. We're going to begin with a little bit of a wrist warm-up. So just find a kneeling position, a seated position, whatever works for you. And I want you to interlace the fingers, clasp the hands together, bring the forearms nice and close, and start to roll the hands and the wrists around one another, creating this kind of figure 8-like motion. Looking for little cracks and pops in the wrists, that's totally normal. And then switch directions, start going the other way. We will be spending quite a bit of time on our hands, so it's really important that we mobilize the wrists thoroughly. All right, we're gonna shake the hands out a little bit. We're gonna interlace the fingers again. This time we're gonna have the palms facing downward, and we're gonna create a wave-like motion from elbow through the forearms and hands to opposite elbow. Look for a little stretch through the wrists, palms, and the fingers with each wave. And then switch directions. Nice. All right, shake the hands out again. Now we're gonna bring the hands down to the floor. And I want you to tuck your toes underneath you too. Try and spread your toes as wide as you can, and then bring your knees down to the floor. So you're looking for a nice little stretch in the toes and the feet as well. When we place our hands on the ground, we want to spread our fingers as wide as we can. I call this gecko hands. It's like we're suction cupping our hands to the floor. And I want you to turn your arms so the pits of your elbows point forward. You can actually try turning in and out a couple times, and then lock those elbows out, pits pointing forward, and we're just going to create some little semicircles over the hands. Shifting to one side, semicircle forward and across to the opposite side, and repeat. Just looking for a gentle stretch in the wrist, and you don't want to go so far forward that the heel of the palm lifts from the floor. You want to stop just before that happens. Now we're going to orient the hands so the fingers point to the sides, rock side to side. Stretch is probably getting a little deeper now. You can bring the hands a little bit closer if you want to get an even deeper stretch, and as long as it feels good. If anything doesn't feel good, just ease out, shift a little less weight into that hand. Just take it easy, keep it light. And final one, we'll point the fingers to point all the way backwards this time. And rock back and forth. Nice job. Now you can untuck the toes, sit back towards the heels, shake the hands out. Now throughout the class, if you're taking a break to watch, or if you just need a break, I highly recommend using a wrist relief position. And one of the best ones is simply to place the backs of the palms together, bring the hands nice and close to the chest, and drop the elbows down to the floor. This puts the wrists into flexion. You can even curl the fingers a little bit if you want to feel the muscles in the forearm, and release, and curl, and release. This puts the wrist into flexion, which is the opposite of the position we have when we're crawling with our hands flat on the floor. And so it's a nice relief when and if you need a break throughout the class. You may choose to keep your yoga mat for the skills practice, or you can get rid of it. I prefer to have a little bit of slip on the floor, but it's totally your choice. Our first skill are variations of back bridge, or in yoga called wheel pose. Variation number 1, which even if you have your full bridge is a nice warm-up, is to lay down on your back with your knees bent and your feet nice and close to your hips. What we're going to do is squeeze the butt, tuck the tailbone, and slowly press our hips up into the air. Press the backs of your arms into the ground as well. This is simply called a glute bridge and a preliminary step towards the full back bridge. Now, second variation we can try, place the hands next to the ears and push your weight towards your heels until they lift from the ground and you're driving your knees forward over the point of your toes. Continue to squeeze your butt, that's really important. And if possible, you can even lift your head off the ground slightly by pushing through the floor into your hands. This is called a low bridge and is a nice way to transition between many different movements. And then of course, we also can press up into our high bridge, also called back bridge or wheel pose in yoga. Whichever variation works best for you, I want you to simply hold that position and take a few deep breaths. And then slowly lower your shoulders and your hips back down to the floor. We're also going to practice a movement called the crab reach and a couple variations of our crab reach. We're going to start in a crab position. So hips on the floor, hands planted on the ground behind us with fingers pointing backwards, and our feet are just in front of the hips with a little bit of distance. I want you to pinch your shoulders together, open your chest, and stare up at roughly a 45-degree angle. Now, this is an easy, or sometimes called baby crab position, because our hips are still down on the floor. We're going to use this one for the first variation of our crab reach. So from this baby crab position, what we're going to do is windshield wiper the knees to one side, finding what's called a shin box position. So one knee's falling just inside of the foot on the other leg. From here, it should be fairly natural to lift one hand from the floor. So if I drop my knees to the right side, I'm lifting my left hand. From there, what I'm going to do is initiate a shin box reach. I'm going to squeeze my butt, pressing my hips up into the air as high as possible first, and then I'm going to reach my free arm over my head. I'm going to gaze towards my palm as I frame my head with my shoulders and that free arm, pointing my fingers back down towards my planted hand and gazing down towards my planted hand as well. You should feel a bit of rotation through the spine and the extension in the hips. From here, we can retract that arm, gazing at the palm the whole time, and then lower the hips down to the floor. Plant the hand back behind us and windshield wiper the knees back to your baby crab position. Let's try the other side. Windshield wiper the knees, lift one hand from the floor. Squeeze the butt, raise the hips up as high as possible, and then reach over, framing the head, gazing and pointing down towards the base palm. Feel the rotation and the hip extension. Now, on the return, we retract the arm, lower the hips down, bring the hand behind us, and bring our knees back to our baby crab. That's variation number 1. We call that our shin box reach. Variation number 2, we're going to lift our hips from the floor this time in a full crab position. Now, what we're going to do here is simply lift one hand from the floor. So if I do a left arm crab reach, I'm lifting my left arm, left hand from the floor. I'm going to squeeze my butt, press my hips up into the air, and then reach my arm over my head, framing my head with my shoulders, pointing and gazing down towards my base palm. Feel the rotation through the spine, extension in the hips. Now on the way back, first I retract the arm, then I lower the hips down and bring my hand back to the floor. Other side, right arm lifts. I squeeze my butt, press my hips up as high as possible, and then reach over my head. Gazing and pointing down towards my base palm, feel the rotation in the hip extension, and then return, first retracting the arm, then lowering the hips down to the ground and reaching that hand for the ground. Variation number 3 is the same thing as a crab reach, except we continue to reach even farther, open the chest, finding our high bridge, and then we exit through the opposite side crab reach. So I'll demonstrate first. Left arm crab reach, hips up, reach. Now once I find my crab reach position, I'm going to rotate my base palm inward, and then I'm going to reach my other hand for the floor, finding my high bridge. From here, I'm going to again rotate my trailing arm this time, shift my weight into that arm, find my crab reach on that side, retract the arm, lower the hips down. One more time. So this time it's a right arm crab reach, rotating into bridge and rotating out to a crab reach, retracting the arm, lowering the hips down. 3 different variations of what is essentially the exact same skill. Let's move on to the final key skill of the day, the QDR. The QDR involves quite a lot of upper body strength, a lot of the external rotation of the shoulder, and strength in that end range position. So please take these variations slowly and don't progress until you're really, truly ready. Variation number 1 of the QDR is something I call a bear hip twist. We're going to start in a bear position, very similar to our quadruped position we used earlier, but this time we're going to have the knees a little bit closer to the hands. For this first variation, we're going to use a baby bear position, meaning we keep those knees down. From here, we're going to widen our hand placement just a little bit and internally rotate so the fingers point slightly towards each other, roughly a 45-degree angle. Now what I'm going to do is twist my hips, bend my elbows, and try and bring one hip to the elbow on the same side of the body. You notice in order to do that, I had to lift one knee off the floor. That should happen fairly naturally. From there, I'm going to push into the ground, bring my hips back to center, both knees to the ground again. Twist the hips, bend the elbows, bring that knee to elbow, hold briefly, and then push the ground away and find your baby bear again. You can try that a couple more times to each side. And you can even use this sort of like a strength exercise, like some sort of odd push-up modification. Moving into variation number 2. This time, we're going to set up in our bear position, but with our knees lifted. Same wide hand placement with fingers rotated internally. I'm going to twist my hips, bring that hip to the same side elbow, and for variation number 2, I'm actually going to extend my top leg over my body and back. Hold, and then slowly return to bear, pushing into the floor. Let's try the opposite side. Knees are hovered. Twist the hips, extend through that top leg, open up. Now see if you can get really light on that second foot. Don't try and balance yet, just get light. And then slowly bring the foot back and push back to your bear, okay? Variation number 2 is probably where a lot of us are gonna be spending a lot of time. As we get more and more proficient and find the right spot to put our elbow against our hip, what's going to happen is it becomes more and more natural to lighten the weight of that second foot to the point where it lifts off the floor just a tiny bit. And then what we do is rotate our head through our arms. This is key for that third and final variation. Variation number 3 is a rotation into bridge. So what we're going to do is begin in bear, hit our QDR, and rotate into our high bridge. Finding our bear position. Twisting hip to elbow. Extending the top leg, getting light on the second leg. Rotating the head through the arm. Rotating. Step, step, and then push up to your high bridge. Now, if you find this position, just slowly lower down and out. It's really important that once we rotate through, we plant the foot lightly and take a couple of steps to find that bridge position. Let me show you that again from a different angle. Bear. Hip twist to elbow. Extend the top leg, get light on that second foot. Rotate the head through the arms. Step. See, I'm crossing my other leg in front. Step. There's one more step. And then push up to high bridge. Slowly lower down and out. Those steps are what allow us to find that bridge and complete 180 degrees of this circle. Now, if you can get that first half, then the second half of that circle, from a bridge back to the QDR and back to bear on the opposite side, will become very natural. So I recommend practicing it first one way and then the other way. Let me show you a full QDR rotation, 360 degrees. Bear. Knees lift, twist hip to elbow, extend the top leg, get very light on the second leg. Rotate head through the arms, step, cross the foot in front, step, find your high bridge. Now to come out, we're gonna go to the other side, step one foot behind, slowly lower, hip to elbow, brace your core for this. Now your bottom leg is going to flex and reach in front. Rotate your head out of your arms as you get light on that second foot and find that bear position again, or some funky modification of it, okay? One last time, going the opposite direction. Hip twist, extend through the top leg, get light on that foot, rotate head through the arms. Step, cross the foot in front, step, find high bridge. Step the foot behind. Slowly lower hip to elbow. Sweep the bottom leg in front. Rotate head out of the arms. Find bear. That full QDR rotation will take time and many reps to master. But I promise you, if you focus on the variation of these skills that feels right for your current level, you keep coming back to your skill level, you will progress over time. Take it slow, practice the variation that feels right for you now, and with time, you will get that QDR rotation. Now there's one final skill that we need just to transition between some of the ones we've already practiced and put these all together into complete flows. And that skill is an underflip. From a baby bear to a baby crab. In this case, our knees are down on the floor. If I do a right leg underflip, now this might be confusing at first, but my right leg's gonna go underneath of me. So first I have to create a window. So I'm gonna lift my left knee to create this window for my right leg to slide through. So I lift my left knee, I lift my left hand, and then I slide my right leg underneath of me, and I'm gonna find a shin box position. This is the variation of our underflip that we need for our first flow, or our level 1 flow, okay? Now to get back to our bear position, I'm gonna open up that left knee, I'm gonna push into the ground, and I'm gonna slide that right leg back, finding my bear position again. Left leg underflip, I'm gonna lift my right knee and my right hand, and slide my left leg underneath of me, finding a shin box. To return to bear, I'm gonna open up that right knee, push into the ground, left leg underflip to bear. Now, if I want to perform a full underflip or my level 2 underflip, I'm gonna keep my knees hovered. If I do a right leg underflip, I'm going to lift my right foot and my left hand from the ground, and then I'm going to pivot on my toes, rotating my right leg underneath of me, finding a full crab position. Today, what we can do is keep that free arm lifted so we can go straight into our crab reach. Now from here, I'm going to right leg underflip back to bear, lift my right foot, pivoting on my toes as I rotate back to bear. Left leg underflip, I lift my left toes, my right hand, I rotate that left leg underneath of me, finding my crab position with one hand lifted. Left leg underflip back to bear, I lift my left foot and I rotate back to bear. If you want a full breakdown of those level 1 or 2 underflips, you can check out our tutorials in the Evolution library. Now we've got everything we need to put together some flows. Let's try these out. Level 1 flow, we're going to meet in bear. Set those hands up nice and wide, fingers internally rotated. Let's go for a right side hip twist, hip to elbow. Hold for a moment, then push back to bear. Adjust the hands a little bit, and let's go for a left leg underflip. Lift the right knee and the right hand, slide that left leg through to your shin box position. From here, we'll finish this side of the flow with a right arm shin box reach. So lift the hips up, reach that right arm over your head, gaze and point fingers towards the base palm. Hold. Then we're going to return to shin box first by retracting the arm, lowering the hips down. Open up that right leg, push and slide the left leg through, back to your bear. Let's do that one more time, opposite side. Left side hip twist, wide palms, internally rotated fingers, left hip to left elbow. Hold, push back to bear. Adjust the hands, right leg underflip, lift the left knee and the left hand, slide the right leg through, into left arm, shin box reach. Press the hips up, reach the left arm up overhead, gaze and point towards base palm. Then retract the arm, lower the hips down, right leg, underflip to bear. Open that left knee, push and slide that right leg back to your bear position. Let me perform that once without the callouts. For our level 2 flow, we're going to begin in bear with the knees lifted. Let's go with a right leg hip twist, and this time we're going to extend that top leg, find a static QDR hold. Hold for as long as you feel comfortable with, and then slowly come back to bear. From here, we're going to go with a left leg underflip. Find that crab position with your right arm lifted, and then right arm crab reach. Hold the top, return, retracting the arm, lowering the hips, left leg underflip to bear. Now let's go for the opposite side. Widen the hands, internally rotated fingers. Let's go left side QDR. Just find a static hold. Return to bear. Right leg underflip to crab. And now let's go left arm crab reach. Hold briefly. On your way down, retract the arm, lower the hips. Right leg underflip to bear. Now, without the call outs. And our final level 3 flow. This one's gonna be tough. If you wanna challenge yourself, give it a shot. We're gonna start with a QDR rotation into bridge. So find bear. Let's start with a right side QDR rotation into bridge. From there, shift weight onto your left hand, rotate, and lower down to your modified crab. From here, we can perform a left leg underflip, and we'll try same flow to the opposite side. Left side QDR rotation into bridge. Shift weight onto that right hand and rotate out to modified crab. Right leg underflip to bear. One time to each side without the call outs. All right, everyone, that's it for today's class. Let's cool down with a light shoulder sleeper stretch. You can lay down on your side with your knees bent. Bring your elbow at the same height as your shoulder and just simply press your wrist down gently into the floor and hold for time. There's a lot of external rotation in this class, a lot of extension of the spine and the hips. So let's reset the body with a little bit of the opposite. That was a lot today. I hope you enjoyed today's class as much as I have. I hope you learned lots, and I hope you had a lot of fun doing it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Oh, and yeah, don't forget to hit the other side too. If you're wanting to progress to the next level or unlock the full QDR, you can certainly make progress by repeating this class. However, we have a full-length version that includes additional strength and mobility training to help you get there faster. If you want to enhance your strength and mobility so that you can express the next level of skills, go grab that full-length class. Link in the description. Isolation training is great to improve the health of our joints and target specific areas of the body. Compound training integrates various joints, strength, mobility, and other aspects of fitness together to condition our bodies to be capable for our favorite activities and daily life. With flow training, our body is recruited as a connected system. And this is how we evolve to move as whole human beings. We just launched Flow, our movement skills training program with 3 phases for all levels. The release of Flow marks the official launch of the Evolution Fitness System. With one membership, you can get access to everything you need to mobilize your entire body, to master bodyweight strength training, and to flow like water. Plus, get all the support you need to stay motivated, to feel confident, and thrive with our tribe. I am pumped to release this program. The QDR class, the full-length version, is in there as well, and I cannot wait to see what our tribe makes of it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Every new subscriber helps us spread the evolutionary perspective of health and fitness. So thank you so much for watching and following along with today's class. Don't forget to check out EFS, the Evolution Fitness System, and I will see you in the next video. Talk soon.
So sweaty.